You see, John Hancock, his latest video, he's been getting a lot of replies on his comment where he was talking about the museum. And I might talk about that a little later. But there was a comment left from someone, a longtime fan called Brian Hackett. His name was Brian Hackett, and he left a comment on here that was thankfully archived before John deleted the comment. Imagine being a fan of John Hancock, being a fan of his for many, many years. Maybe a Patreon member, someone maybe that sent him some games for his collection. Imagine being a fan of John Hancock, and then you get your comment deleted. This is Brian's comment. And like I said, this is preservation, and this comment will remain at least somewhere on YouTube because John, for some reason, didn't want it on his channel. Brian says, "Dear John, I've been watching and enjoying your content for a couple years. You have a vast knowledge of the history of video games and have an entertaining channel. I am also aware of the trolls who say you will never build your museum and have seen most of their content. I think it is totally possible that one day you will build your museum. You have the knowledge and enough video game stuff to create such a museum. The major point the trolls are attacking is that you are receiving gifts and donations on the pretense that these things will go into the museum. This is where you need to be more careful, John, because some of your older videos allude to the fact you might simply sell your collection for the right price. I think a simple solution is to really make sure you declare and are clear that you are planning on creating a museum at some point in the future, and it is not a guarantee it will be, nor are you really sure when it will happen. Also, very recently, I have noticed you are calling the trolls mentally ill, or that they have serious mental illness. Well, John, I actually have a diagnosed severe mental illness and have had it for many years. You are adding to mental illness stigma by doing this. It would be much better if you could come up with something else to use as a comeback to the trolls. Good luck on the museum." Now that comment was deleted by John. Imagine this kind of comment being deleted by John Hancock. This is what it's come down to. This is revealing exactly who John Hancock is as an individual. It shows exactly how he feels about his own audience. All of you. This is to John Hancock's current audience. I want all of you to know you are nothing more to John Hancock than game donations and money to line his fucking pockets. All right? Just because he has a knowledge, and Brian Hackett, this is to you too, just because this man seems nice, like a nice guy, and just because he has a vast knowledge of video games, does not make it okay that he's deleting your comments, and more importantly, that he's lying about a game museum. To be honest, he has no proof will ever actually happen. I've chosen the 3 medalists for the next comment that I upload. I haven't chosen the honorable mentions. This person might be one of the honorable mentions. It's very likely that could be the case. But even if it's not the case, I feel this comment is very important and I need to share this right now. Okay? This comment is from Osmosis. And this comment, a little setup for this. This comment was on the "This is what John Hancock thinks of his longtime fans" upload, where I mentioned a person named Brian that went to John's channel, and this person was a longtime fan, and they tried to let John know that a lot of the critics, like myself, it looks bad for John on a couple different levels. One thing that looks bad for John is the fact that he was found on video admitting years ago that he would consider selling the collection to the highest bidder one day. And he hasn't come out and said that that wasn't truthful. He has not addressed that. There's a lot of questions around the museum. And what's happening here is a lot of people like Brian, his longtime fans, are starting to ask questions. Now, what John is doing right now to damage control is he's doing the unthinkable. He is deleting comments from people that are his longtime fans. It's kind of a cover-up what's going on. He is covering up because he's starting to get more of these critical comments. Brian's not going to be the only one, but Brian didn't mean any ill harm. He was just trying to tell Hancock, hey, I'm giving you a warning that a lot of these critics are kind of right. So you need to come out. And he even gave him like some good ideas. I'm not going to go over that comment. Brian had some good ideas for how John, someone he was subscribed to, could help fight off a lot of this criticism. Okay? John deleted that comment from Brian. We may never see Brian's comments on that channel again. And this is how he treats his longtime fans. Okay? Keep that in mind. Osmosis also was a fan of John Hancock, and I'll share a comment from Osmosis here because I feel this is very important. I need to share this with you before the next comment of the day. Osmosis says, I actually read that comment and just knew it was going to be deleted. I'm not surprised he has, but I honestly thought that maybe, just maybe, he would leave Brian's post up given it wasn't hurtful or disparaging in any way towards John. I suffer from depression for a number of reasons, military background and being a first responder who was involved in a royal commission. What Hancock did and is doing to his fans is nothing short of disgraceful and could lead to someone who has a mental condition committing self-harm. It only takes the smallest thing such as this to trigger their emotions that can spiral to a place no one ever wants to be in. Brian may have subscribed to John Hancock as a way to treat his condition, and now John has completely destroyed that. I know that's what I do to help me through my dark times. I do things to help me get out of my depression, and one of those things is to subscribe to people who I enjoy watching. Well done, Hancock, to what you've done to Brian. You obviously have no conscience or feelings towards anyone but yourself. Thank God I unsubscribed to you. By the way, I once gave you something under a different name on Facebook, and believe me, you will never get another thing from me again. Thank you for sharing that, Osmosis. I think it's very reckless what John is doing now, a change in his language. It used to be he would call his critics trolls and haters, but now he's starting to call them mentally ill. When he does that, I think that's very reckless for obvious reasons. So I will personally call on John Hancock. Outside of all the critical satire, outside of everything else, John, I hope you have the common human decency to never ever use that language again.